to Gator Bites. Hi there, it's Jodi Stewart, and if you are looking for some great live music this weekend, you are in for a treat. Today we have a conversation with the co-founding member of a band that has recorded 8 gold records, a platinum album, a double platinum album, that have produced some of the most recognizable and popular songs of our entire life. And they're playing in Port Saint Lucie this weekend. So we're going to go ahead and welcome in founding member and drummer of Foghat. It's Roger Earl.
Jodi, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
A couple of weeks off, so we figure we better sort of start rehearsing. Actually, we're starting recording a new studio album. And we'll run through the steps just to make sure we're on top of our game.
So you guys have been on tour for most of this year, is that right?
Yeah, I think we've done about 25, 30 dates so far. We usually do between 60 and 70 dates a year, but obviously when the nightmare of COVID sort of hit everybody, we stopped sort of touring. I personally was okay with that. I haven't had a vacation since I was 12, I think.
You know, Roger, it's so funny because every artist we speak with says almost that exact same thing, that they were off the road during the past couple of years longer than they have in their entire career. So what I like to ask people, and everyone has a different story, like some people have said they took up cooking or baking or gardening, and some people said, hey, I just enjoyed it, sat back and relaxed. What did you do during the downtime?
I drank quite a lot of wine. No, just kidding. I did just that. I went fishing. I live on the North Shore of Long Island. And at the beginning of May, for the first time, I'm fishing out my back door in just off of Port Jefferson Harbor. And I'm catching striped bass, 10, 12, 13 pounders. And I'm like, and it's never, I've fished ever since I was 6 years old. But it's the first time I've actually caught them in May, because in May I'm usually on the road at least 2 or 3 days a week. And I also managed to plant my garden and eat some of it before the deer and the rabbits get at it. It was okay. I miss playing. I miss hanging out with the guys, and playing music has always been a huge part of my life. I did miss it, to be honest with you. That's why being back on the road is like, I just love doing this. I'm one of those fortunate few that gets paid for doing what he loves.
Of course.
Bang,
banging on the drum. So I know 2021 was Foghat's 50th anniversary. So right? Am I right?
Yes.
I mean, that's an amazing accomplishment. Let's be honest. So did you guys originally have a tour scheduled for the 50th, and then that was postponed for this year?
I don't really know. COVID was such a sort of nightmare for everybody and everything. I guess I forgot all about the 50th anniversary and all that kind of stuff, because the whole world was in turmoil. I mean, that was the first, for me in my time down on this earth. It was an absolute horror show. Like I said, it wasn't so bad for me, but people were losing their jobs, their businesses. It was just a horror show. But 50 years, I don't know. I'm figuring I'm going to be here for another 50 years. No, you're not.
I want to ask you, Roger, about the early days, because I understand that you had an unsuccessful audition with the Jimi Hendrix Experience, and I bring it up because I have to know what that was like.
I had a very successful audition with Jimi Hendrix. It was one day during the week. I was a commercial artist at the time. I think I was 20 years old. I think it was just before I joined Savoy Brown. So I was doing auditions. I'd already played in a band when I was 17 or 18 with Jimmy's manager, who actually called me. That was the bass player with the Animals. And I'd worked in a band with him for about a month or so, and I guess he remembered me. Anyway, he called me up and said, "Have you heard of Jimi Hendrix?" And he was all over the papers, music papers, that is. Everybody was raving about him, from Pete Townsend to Eric Clapton and Jeff Beck. And it was one rainy midday in London town at a club called Birdland, just off of Piccadilly Circus, if I recall rightly.
Right.
I borrowed my father's car that day and drove up to London, which you can't do anymore, by the way. Unloaded my... Anyway, I went outside, and it's raining, as usual. And Jimmy came up to me and started talking about some songs he'd written the night before. Really a cool guy. And I went downstairs. I was probably about sixth in line to play. And he started playing his magic. There's any way I could describe it.
Right.
And it was, I really didn't have any idea what to do. I'm sort of sitting there going, whoa, where do I start? Anyway, then he played a slow blues, which I knew what to do. Then he played a then he played a Chuck Berry tune. Then he played, I think, Bob Dylan's song. He actually gave me about 45 minutes. He was very generous with his time. But I don't look at it as a failure, because the drummer that he got, Mitch Mitchell, was absolutely incredible. And I was in some really good company as far as famous English drummers. There was a whole bunch of them down there. Yeah, it was great. I'd actually got to play with him a couple of times after that. I came to the States with Savoy. I joined Savoy Brown. I came to the States and I jammed with him in a club in LA. I think Eric Burden was singing and a few other people were playing. I got up and played a couple of songs. I also played in a club in New York, not on Garno's, Steve Paul's Scene, and played with Jimmy on a couple of songs. Yeah, it was a sad day when we lost him. He was one of those totally unique musicians and people that come along every once in a generation. And I think he certainly made his mark. In fact, our Scott Holt, our lead singer and guitar player, is a huge fan of Jimi Hendrix's. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, it was a sad day when we lost him. It was. It would have been interesting to have seen where he went and took music. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But what an honor that you just got to play with him. I think that's fantastic. Who are some of your earlier influences?
Well, I grew up listening to Jerry Lee Lewis, Little Richard, then discovered then Chuck Berry, and then I discovered Muddy Waters, which is probably one of my biggest influences as far as music goes. Sure. My father took me to see Jerry Lee Lewis when I was 12. My father played piano, and there was always music in my house. You know, we had a Grundig tape replayer, and we had there was always music on the radio or the TV. So I grew up in a musical household. My mother sang, my father sang. My older brother Colin played piano. Actually, I wanted to play piano first of all, but my father played, my older brother played. And what's cool about the piano, you got all these notes in front of you. You don't have to search for them like you do on a guitar. The problem is getting them in the right order.
Okay.
Anyway,
is that why you transitioned to drums?
No, the drums were louder than pianos, so they could hear me. No, I was always banging on stuff at home. My mother used to say, "He's ruined all the good china. He's banged on this, banged on that, tap tap, bang bang." That's actually, my parents were fantastic. We weren't well off by any stretch, but when I wanted to learn to play drums, I'd work after school 3 days a week, and I worked Saturday mornings in a bakery, so I was saving my money. Yeah. And I told Dad I wanted to get a drum kit, and he said, "Okay, I know somebody who teaches drums." And it was a friend of Dad's. In fact, he was quite a famous jazz drummer and teacher. A number of rock and rollers were taught by him. His name was Chris Chris Hayes, I think the drummer from the Kinks was taught by him, and a number of other sort of well-known drummers. So I was in good company. It was basically learning to play Buddy Rich's Rudiment book by Henry Adler. And I'm not exactly a jazzer, but I mean, yeah, I can count to 3 and 4. 5 and 8.
Well, you know, Foghat is known for their boogie, blues, rock, and as I mentioned it in the beginning, I mean, your song's so recognizable to generations. Slow Ride, recognizable from note number 1. It's been used in TV commercials and movies and TV shows. Is that something special when you hear that song in a movie? Does it still bring back, you know, the memories of when you guys first recorded it?
Yeah. Well, of course, the important thing is that I started.
Yes, you are responsible for that first note on that song.
No, don't do the bad at somebody else. Yeah, it came from a jam. Nick Jameson, our longtime producer, just joined the band on bass guitars in 1974, and myself and Rob Price, our original lead guitar player, had a house on Long Island, and we'd soundproofed the basement. And I asked Nick if he wanted to be in the band. He came down, and it came from a jam. And then we basically got the whole arrangement done down in the basement. And then Dave said, "Oh, I've got some lyrics that will work with that." In fact, a lot of our songs came like that. That, you know, Dave would have lyrics. Not all of them. Often it would, you know, Dave would have the whole song, or Rob Price would have like, you know, guitar, some parts, or just riffs. It was actually, some things haven't really changed. That's how we sort of do it now, unless somebody comes along, you know, with, you know, like a lyric, a title, or we just start playing. Yeah, I love my.
Yeah,
I mean,
that song became a rock anthem, you know, and fans could come see you guys this weekend. The show is Saturday night. I'm guessing you're going to do all your hits.
Yeah.
And
Fall for the City, Just Want to Make Love to You, Stone Blue, Slow Ride. We're going to play a couple of blues tunes. We're going to play some stuff from most of our albums. Rodney O'Quinn, our bass player, sings a couple of songs as well. So, yeah, good time will be had by one and all. We're going to boogie your boot heels and sneakers away. Hold on a second. We're playing at the Center Event Union Credit Florida Mid Center. No, sorry, the Mid Florida Credit Union Event
Center. In Port Saint Lucie, tickets are still available.
They are?
Yes, they are. But I also wanted to let our Gator viewers and listeners know that if they sign up on the website, GatorRocks.com, they could win a pair of tickets to see you guys. It's this Saturday night, and it is the best thing going on in town this weekend. Roger, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Jodi, it's been my pleasure. In fact, I'm going to go back into the studio. We're going to start recording and rehearsing today. So nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you too. Stay safe on the road.